Hari Om. Start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mamadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. So the teacher started responding to the questions that were posed, and he started addressing first what is bondage, or how do we get out of the bondage. And he mentioned that it is only Brahmatmaikatva Bodhena, by the teaching that Atma, self that I am, is same as Brahman. That is essentially Tattvamasi, which is Mahavakya statement, and that is an instruction by the teacher to the student that you are that. So I had to know, how can I be that? So for that I need to know. If I need to know who I am and what is that and how can I be that. So I need to know my nature, the nature of the world, and where is this equation valid, or what kind of equation is valid. So that has to be understood. For that, analysis starts with anaatma. What is this whole universe? So what I am trying to equate? I am and that. That means any objective world, the total world that I perceive, which is not myself, that is called anaatma, non-self. So we are analyzing first non-self. So teacher takes up this topic first before he goes into the more details. So how does he analyze? Just as a brief summary, he started analyzing the world and starting from the body, mind and intellect. So this is analysis of Shariratrayam. That means the three bodies that I have, Sula, Sukshma and Karana Sharira. Is going to go details of one by one. And he takes about the whole universe. How did the body came, Sula Shariram came, or the gross body came, and the subtle body came, and the Karana Sharira came. All that being analyzed systematically. So for us, let's understand what exactly that the whole universe means. Even the body, mind and intellect is part of the universe only. It's included as that. Anything that I can define as this that I can point out cannot be the subject I. So anything that is not subject I is an object this, and that comes under the whole universe. So therefore, this Purnam Idam, this is infinite. Idam means that which I can point out is infinite. That's what the Purnam Idam statement. Purnam Adaha means that is also infinite. There, in that statement, that it stands for Aham, I am, because everything comes under Idam, this that I can point out. Only that doesn't come under what I am pointing is the one that is pointer. The one who is pointing doesn't come under Idam, and that is called that. And that is also Purnam, that's also infinite, and therefore there cannot be two infinities, because one infinite limits the other infinite, and both cannot be infinite. Only way is there is only one. That is essentially Brahmatmaikatva Bodham. And therefore we are analyzing now at the first starting point, how did this universe, or what is this universe? One can go to all sorts of, now we are talking about objective analysis, but objective analysis, one can use the objective tools, but that will get limited, because in every objective analysis, subject is also involved. And that's why this objective analysis of scientific understanding of what is a fundamental particle, how did it come, or to stop at some place. It came from a big bang, or even a steady state theory, it's continuous banging and then the going back and again, which is same as what we call a pralayam and so on. So, but all this cannot address how did the consciousness come into picture, and consciousness cannot be an object, only inert things are object by definition. Therefore, that analysis will not give you complete. That's why we said Vedanta alone becomes a pramana. So what is the ultimate, the solution? What is the fundamental from which the whole universe came? That's what everybody is looking for, and no one will answer that question by scientific objective analysis, because in the very objective analysis you are excluding already part of it, the one who is analyzing the system. Unless he is also included only, then the total system has to be understood, and as long as he is excluding, he cannot, and he cannot include that using the objective tools. That's why we said Vedanta is absolute science. Now what does Vedanta say? How does the universe came? We touch base a little bit here. Now we go into a little bit more detail as the teacher starts expanding. He is only addressing how did the Shariram come, but that's also part of anaatma, not as myself, because I can say idam Shariram Kaunteya, and this is kshetram, it's called field. So all fields comes under anaatma. So what exactly is anaatma? That is being defined now, and how did the process come? So Vedanta provides a creative process also. So how does it occur? In the different Upanishads, the starting points are different, but there is a samanvayam, that means there is a consistency in the teaching, and that has to be understood in the process. So in the Chandogya, called Sadvidya, mentioned in the 6th chapter, it's called Satvidya, that is essentially what is existence, where this teacher asked the student, his own son, Uddalaka asked Swetaketu, have you learned that knowing which you know everything? Eka vijnanena sarva vijnanam bhavati. Knowing one thing, you will know everything. And the student says, I don't think so. There cannot be possible. I don't think even my teacher knows that. And he was in an arrogant way, he answers, whereas the teacher, corrects him, says, the father corrects him, says, it is possible under certain circumstances. What are the circumstances? Just as when the gold, from the gold, all ornaments came. So he gives 3 examples. Yada saumya ekena lohamanina sarvam lohamayam vijnata vacharambanam vikaro namadeyam lohamityeva satyam. So yada saumya ekena mritpindena sarvam unmayam vijnata acharambanam vikaro namadeyam muttikityeva satyam. Yada saumya ekena Nakanikruntan sarvam. I'm getting forgetting. So essentially from one iron, all the iron tools have come, including the nail cutter. Knowing a nail cutter, came from iron, and if I know the iron, I know not only nail cutter, every other instrument that came from the iron essentially is called kashnayasam, or means a black iron or wrought iron, that is what the original at that time. Therefore, he gives 3 examples where if I have a material cause from which it came, therefore once it came, I can know from the knowing any product, I can know what the original material is, from which it came, by which it is sustained, into which it goes back. All the products are nothing but vacharambalam, is only namke vaste, or only for name's sake, it's only attributive only, essence is only from which it came. The ring and the bangle and the necklace and the bracelet, they are different, they are only attributes of the ring are different from a bangle and that of a necklace, but essence is only gold. Attributes of the ring and the bangle and necklace do not belong to the gold. Gold has its own attributes in this case, but we are talking about the total universe, and is giving only things that student can understand examples, but we are going to talk about that from which the whole universe came, and therefore all universe are only vacharambana, only namesake, form sake. Essence is only what called the vivarta, that means apparent modification, not real modification. Just as the gold apparently as though transformed into ring and a bangle, gold still remains as a gold only, but appears as a ring and a bangle and a necklace. Ring is different from a bangle, bangle is different from a necklace. So appearances are different, distinctions are there in the products, but essence is the same. In the essence there are no distinctions. All that has to be understood, and that's what implied in the Sadvidya. Now we are going to the details of how exactly the creation occurred. What was there before? How did it become? It says, Sadeva Saumya Idamagramasi Ekameva Advitiyam. We quoted before this one. It says, existence alone was there before creation. So what is that? It is existence which is one without a second. That means it is infinite. So what was there? It's pure existence. And pure existence became many. So the Aichata Bahusyam. So it saw. That means it's not only pure existence, it has a capacity to see, but there is nothing else to see because it's only there. So that means it is self-conscious entity. So it is not only Sat, it is Chit aspect. So for in another Upanishads, Atma Vedamagramasid, consciousness alone was there before creation. Existence alone was there before creation. So what was there before? It is Satchidananda Swarupam, because one without a second means limitless, and limitless is Anandam. Anandameva Anandam. Infinite alone is pure happiness. So everything is self-consistent in the teaching itself. It's called Samanvayam. In the Brahma Sutra, the second sutra, the third sutra is Tattu Samanvayat. Every statement in the scriptures and in the Gita are self-consistent, and that's why it is a science. There is no contradiction. If there is only contradiction, it's only from the point of individual reference. Yeah, ring is different from a bangle. There is a contradiction. But ring is not same as a bangle. But in an equate essence has to be the same. So how does the creation come? What was there before is existent conscious entity which is infinite, which is Satchidananda, was there before creation. And it saw and it wanted to become many. So there is a desire to become many, and it became many. This is how the creation is. In the Puranik also, the Lord decided to become many. So himself became many. So the whole creation is nothing but that existence in different names and forms. Existent consciousness. How it expresses in different forms depending upon the equipment that is being expressed. So this has to be understood clearly. So what was there? It says the creation is defined in terms of stages, as though it says first creation is Akasha. So in the Taittiriya Upanishad, the creation starts with the statement Tasmatva etasmat akasha atmana akasha sambhutaha akashat vayuhu vayo agnihi agni apaha abja prithvi prithivya voshadayaha voshadibhyonnam annat purushaha. So this is how the statement of scripture is, how one became many. So what are the 5 things that created first? The first one created in the creation is the Akasha, space. So space is created from Atma, from the Satchidananda. So really, how do you know the space is created? So that you will see when we go into deep sleep state, we can go beyond the space also and be there without space. Because in any of this creation that we are talking about, according to science, they cannot answer the question how the space came into the picture. Even the Big Bang occurred according to where? Occurred everywhere only. But everywhere is a concept of space. Therefore, the space itself starts with the bang. And how did the bang occur? Where did the bang occur? How did the particles separate? All that is implied in the space and time created from the bang only. Because you cannot ask before. Before is a concept of time. Yeah, even here also the statement is what was there before is only the time concept. It's only for the teaching purposes. What was there is only pure Satchidananda itself as though became many. So now I cannot go and look for Satchidananda. What is there is already become many. So whatever is there is only Satchidananda appearing as many. This has to be understood when I am looking for Brahman. Where I am looking for Brahman, don't look for somewhere or go up in the heavens or somewhere. It is everywhere only. Therefore, to see Lord everywhere or Brahman everywhere, I need to have a proper vision now. That's what is called the third eye of Lord Shiva, or Jnana Chakshu is required. Eye of wisdom is required. The eye of wisdom comes by the knowledge only. And therefore, statement is, what was there? From Atma, first thing is the creation of 5 elements, and these are called subtle elements. and from the subtle elements, grosser Akasha Vayu, 5 gross elements came into picture, and that process is called Panchikaranam. Panchikaranam is a statement where the starting from 5 subtle elements, each subtle elements is Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi, the space, Akasha, Vayu, air, and Agni, fire, and the Jalam and Prithvi, water, and the earth. So these are 5 subtle elements, and each 5 subtle elements, they combine each other in such a way called Panchikaranam. And just briefly, how they combine and what is the process of Panchikaranam is each one is as though full, it divides into 2 parts. So Akasha divides into 2 parts, Vayu divides into 2 parts, and Agni divides into 2 parts, and Jalam divides into 2 parts, and Prithvi divides into 2 parts. And one half of the part remaining the same, the other parts again divide into 4 parts. So Akasha, half of it remain Akasha, the other part of Akasha, the one half of the Akasha divides into 4 parts, and it distributes to other 4. Whatever that 1/4 of that is being distributed to it. 1/8 of that, 1/2 times 1/4, the 1/8 of it is distributed into those 4. Similarly, Akasha, Vayu also have half into, remains half, the other half divided into 4 parts and distribute to 4 others. Like that, each element, subtle element, redistributes half of it to the 4 parts, and each one again becomes full. So when again in the grossification, it's called Panchikaranam, in the grossification called becoming a gross product is combination of the subtle elements, and this is what the process is, where each one has half of its own plus 1/8 of the other parts also. So in that each one becomes a half full, and therefore this becomes a grossification. And with this gross Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi, all the gross elements, all the lokas, 14 lokas have formed, and that's what the scripture talks about. Including anything gross is made up of this because of the gross elements. The gross elements are 5, subtle elements are 5, and before it becomes Panchikaranam, the subtle elements form the subtle bodies, and the gross elements become gross body, is what has to be understood. So anything gross is made up of these Panchabhutas, which are gross elements. So I can only, the scientist can only analyze the gross aspects, that is only the products after the Panchikaranam, only whatever he is analyzing is only under that category. He can't even analyze the subtle. We mentioned that he can analyze objectively what a mind is, what a thought is, because that is beyond his objective tools. He can analyze up to neurons or up to even the waves also. So this Panchikarana process is required for grossification, and from that the whole lokas are formed, and also from that the bodies also formed, the plants, everything, all the bodies of gross products are all formed in that. After it formed, the mind, subtle elements, as though entered into it. The Jivatma also entered into this body. So this is called the Pravesham. So therefore, after the body is formed, it entered into it. That's what the scripture says. And how does it enter? What is the way analogy? We'll go back into when we talk about Sukshma Sariram, the analogy of the dream, and that Swapna is explained, and there it becomes very clear how all this creation process, because exactly parallel system is there, and scripture utilizes that to show us this is how this happens. This has become clear. So essentially, how this grossification, gross body, etc. are called from Panchikarana process. So that becomes a means for creation. So we are talking about what is anaatma. anaatma is now the two aspects, a subtle element and the gross element. A grossification is called panchikarana process. From the grossifications, whole worlds are not only this world that we see, all the galaxies that we are talking about is only the bhautika loka only one aspect. According to our scripture, there are 14 lokas. There is involved, few above and few below. Atala, Vitala, Mahasala, Rasatala, Patala, all those down, as well as higher lokas all the way up to Satya Lokam, which is where Brahmaji sits. All that are lokas only, fields, kshetram, and there is one kshetrajna, we'll talk about later, but these are the grossified fields where the subtle elements enter and for the operation. What exactly entering? All that will be analyzed when we talk about the mind and all that. First, right now, we understand that this body, gross body, came into picture starting from the original source, which is essentially Atma, Sachidananda. Sachidananda being infinite, it cannot undergo any of this process. So these all processes are apparent process. Therefore, it's called Prakriti. Prakriti is Prakarshena Kruti Yogyatva. It creates as though it's not. And scripture says Prakriti is same as Maya. Mayanta Prakritim Vidyat. In the Upadesasara Upanishad, it says Maya is same as Prakriti. What is Maya? Ya, Ma, Sa Maya. That which is not really there is Maya. So Maya itself is not there. I cannot analyze what is Maya, but because of that Maya, it appears to be many. So Shankara says, Agatita Gatana Patiyasi Maya. That which makes impossible possible. What's impossible? That which is infinite cannot become finite into objects also. Even though space is infinite, but it cannot transform or it cannot modify, because infinite cannot undergo any modification. Only finite things can undergo modification. Therefore, there is no real creation. It's only apparent creation. It's not a parinama, transformation like a milk becoming into yogurt. That's not a parinama. He says it is as though it is gold becoming into ornaments. So Scripture itself gives us an example to show it is vivarta. Vivarta means apparent transformation, because it appears to be so. And when we go to higher understanding, because all the appearance can be seen, that's why it's called mithya. All that becomes clear as we go into more details of this anaatma analysis. Why we need to do anaatma analysis? Because it's immediately apparent, and we are taking anaatma as atma, so we have to distinguish what exactly in anaatma. We cannot say this is atma, then it also becomes an object. So we have to take objects and look at that, separate from that, and from that we have to understand what exactly atma. Hence, analysis of anaatma becomes very important. And do further in the next talk. So with this, we'll stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.